Hi folks, so I'm not here today, but I'm just going to show you what these intersections, unions, and minuses look like when we're talking about three Venn diagrams. So let's start with intersections. So just a reminder, if you're forgetting what intersections are, that's that N. It is where if we were to shade, where the shadings overlap. So for example, each of these is an intersection that exists in a three-set Venn diagram. So let's say A is this circle, B is this one, and C is this one. In the first case, it's saying where A and B exist. So if you were to remove this third circle entirely, the C circle, the intersection between A and B would be here. Okay, so it's where the circle A and the circle B both overlap. Where does B and C happen? Well, this time we're only looking at the circle B and the circle C, okay? And where those overlap is here, which I'm going to color in green. Okay. Then we have A and C. So again, this time we're looking at circle A and C, and the overlap would be here. And then last up, we have A and B and C. So where all three circles overlap, so every part would be overlapped, which would be in this little tiny circle in the middle. For A and B and C, you could write it like this, but you could also write it with brackets around different parts. So you might see it written as A and B and C. That would mean the exact same thing. You could write A and B and C, that would mean the exact same thing as well. The brackets do become more important as we advance because we will end up looking at where does A and B and C overlap. Okay? In this case, they happen to be the same, but it's not always. So next up is union. So union was that or, we use the U to help us. When we were doing this, I was often talking about the fact that whatever you would shade, you would add up all the shading. Okay, so it's like you're just going to end up with more shading. So if I start to color these in, first is A or B. I should probably label these first. So A or B would be anything in the circle A plus anything in the circle B. So I can circle all of A and all of B. And all of that is part of the solution. For B and C, B or C, I would color in all of B or all of C. So anything in red there would be considered B or C. My colors are going to start overlapping here, but we'll just keep talking about it. A or C would be the circle A and the circle C all shaded in. So it'd be those two circles. And one thing that isn't written here is A or B or C. That would just be in a Venn diagram, all of the circles colored in. So that would look like this. So we're basically adding up all the shading for A, B, and C. Okay, and then the last one is minus. Just a reminder, minus is going to mean the same thing as we add a third circle in. So minus is just another way of saying erase or take away. Okay, so as we're doing it, we may need to erase portions of what we've shaded in at some point. So we're going to try these examples. And they can get quite complicated, so just be patient with yourself. We're going to be practicing over the next couple days. So this first example is saying, can we shade A or B and C? So I always suggest breaking it down into different problems. Like if you can shade A or B and you can shade C, this and means we're looking where do the two overlap. Okay, so I'm going to color both first, and then we can go back and erase and only color the portion that overlaps in. So A, B, and C. A or B would be all of circle A shaded in and all of circle B shaded in. And then C would be this entire circle shaded in. So the portions that are overlapping are looking like here and here. So our final shading should be just those overlapping portions. And just to be sure, if you were to do this at the end, you would just go back and erase the portions that you had originally shaded. Okay. So then for the second one, this one says A and C or B. Again, treat it as two different problems. And this or just means we're going to add them all up. So you should end up with anything you've shaded as being part of the solution. So A and C is going to be where A and C overlap. So that is this portion here. Okay, and then B is this whole circle B. So or in the middle means if I've shaded it, it's part of the solution. So in the end, my final shaded portion should be everything you see there. So I might even go back and color it all in with one color and say this would be all of the solution. Okay, next up, we got A and B or A and C or C and B. So each of these ors in the middle just means we're going to be adding up all the shading. So I highly suggest start by coloring A and B, A and C and B. So each of these individually. So A and B would be here. A and C would be here. Oh, sorry, here. And C and B would be here. Because there's ors in between, it basically means if we've shaded it, it's part of the solution. So everything there that we have drawn is the solution. So again, you could go back and shade it all the same color if you'd like. Okay, then we have A or B and not C. So this would just mean in the end, we're gonna go back and erase any portion that might be in the circle C. Okay, so let's start by coloring A or B. So A or B. And then it wants us to take this and to take any portion that's in C. So this is all of C. And there's shading here and here within that circle. So we actually need to go back and erase it fully. So once you erase that, all that should be left is going to be this. Okay, and that should be our final shaded region. Next up, we have A and or not C or B. So maybe let's shade in A and not C first. So a reminder, A would be all this circle, but we're removing the portion that's in C. So this portion is in the circle C. So we have to go back and erase that out. So I'm going to do that. And that becomes this. And then it also says or B. So now I'm going to go and color all of B. Because it's an or in the middle, it means I've added the shading on. So everything you see colored in there is part of the solution. Okay, and then last up, we have A and not C, which we actually colored in the last example. So I'm just going to copy our coloring. And then lastly, it says to minus B or erase anything that's in B. And the only portion, if this is my B circle, the only portion in B is this. So I need to go back and erase that. So let me go in. I'm going to erase what I've drawn so far and remove B from what I had originally colored. So this would be A and not C and not B. Okay, so make sure to tackle some of those worksheets I posted online. There's lots. I'm not anticipating that you're going to get through all of it, but try your best and we can get back together tomorrow and see how you're feeling. Bye, folks.